9:10 here. It is a Monday, August 13th, and my pleasure to welcome in studio for a monthly visit. A week delayed because of some dingbat's vacation. That would be me, the dingbat. Mayor Andrea Summerville is in studio. I'm glad you're laughing at that. Apparently, not everybody laughed at that. As you heard my comment earlier this hour. I tried to warn everybody I was going to be gone, but apparently not everybody got the message. But we're back at it here today. How are you? Thanks for being delayed a week.
I'm doing great. I'm a little jealous of your vacation this time of year. Seems like there's way too many things to do and not enough time to do them. So. Well,
I kind of almost have to force myself to take time off, but I really did unplug. I'm sitting here asking you what's going on because I've been so unplugged. I've been out of the loop here a little bit. So we do have some different things going on. Obviously, first and foremost, an election just 8 days away. I know you're a candidate for Ward 1. I don't necessarily want to specifically talk about candidacy things, but we can. But getting people out to vote is going to be critical, particularly for the 6-penny tax, which is on this ballot only.
Absolutely.
How has that been kind of received in the community, do you feel?
Well, most of the comments that I've gotten in conversations with people have been very positive, very supportive of the streets projects and the parks and rec projects and various things that are on that ballot. We've spent a lot of time from the city perspective going out to different groups and providing the education materials. Everybody in the city that has a utility bill got a flyer from the city explaining what all the projects were. And so we're just hoping people vote next Tuesday. That's the most important thing. Up or down, we need them to vote on Tuesday.
Just a reminder, this is not a new sales tax. It's just a renewal. And you and I have talked extensively in the last probably 6 months, basically, that this is big because you want to put a lot of this towards that street maintenance, repair, things that are kind of coming of need because we haven't had the ability to do that here recently.
We really haven't, and with the continuing budget crunches from the state, this has really put more pressure on this 6-penny specific purpose tax to be able to fund any road improvements coming up in the future years. We have serious road needs, whether you are in West Laramie and you don't have a road yet and you need a road and drainage, or you live in on Iverson Street, potentially, or Boswell Street, or we have it. If you look at the ballot, you're going to see an entire list of streets that are in desperate need of attention and reconstruction, and we can't underscore that enough. This ballot is very, very critical to getting those projects moving forward.
Now, you and the rest of the city council and folks at the city trying to plan ahead in terms of what takes highest priority and have the conversation with the community in terms of where they feel that this needs to kind of be set forth coming up?
Absolutely. So our plan is to put the $22 million, if the voters renew this tax, towards a citywide transportation improvement plan. And so all of the paved surfaces will be rated based on how many vehicles a day are traveling down those streets, so how much traffic they have, and then something called the Pavement Condition Index, which basically is a 0 to 100 scale on how terrible or not terrible the road is. And then we will prioritize those projects going forward. For the West Laramie piece, and there's a few unpaved roads east of the railroad tracks as well. We are right now in the middle of a conversation with City Council about what that looks like. How do we incorporate those streets into the improvement plan to get the drainage brought up and potentially paved? What kind of streets do we want to have? Do we need to ask the residents out there for participation? All of those conversations are still ongoing, but it is intended to be a citywide road surface improvement.
All right. 0 to 100 rating. Is there anything above? Never mind. I'm just joking. Folks. I think there's a lot of folks in the audience that would agree. There are not very many roads above. I guess if 50 is your medium, I wouldn't say there's a lot above 50 right now. By the way, I still think you guys should. I don't know if it's even on the streets plan for this year. There's a nice bump in front of the bus barn out here on Skyline that got done last year. I think you guys need your money back. Honestly, I think it's the same issues that are still there. But that is one thing that I think residents don't realize is that a lot of projects don't happen until after the 1st of July, and that's because the new fiscal year budget comes into play when you guys can plan projects and things like that. Because I've seen questions in the past about why can't projects start earlier so that we don't have all this construction going on when school comes back at the university and you get an influx of the population here?
Right. Well, and that's something that the city has struggled with for years. Not only do we have an extraordinarily short construction season here, but we also have an earlier end date if we're potentially trying to get stuff done before UW comes back into session, which is usually the case, or the high school starts, or any of those major areas where the traffic patterns change, which we're always trying to do. But the other piece of it always is the availability of asphalt. And it sounds, before I became a council member, I had no idea this was an issue. Actually, a lot of our projects, we have to wait until the asphalt plants get up and running for the summer, and sometimes we're dependent on those private industry plants to get going. And if they get going late, then it affects our projects. So all of those things come into play, but we do try to plan and get to stuff as soon as we can and get it going for exactly the reasons that you're talking about.
All right, so we're talking about, and again, that 6-penny tax is only on next Tuesday's ballot. That's why it is important. I don't care how you vote, but get out and vote in this election here coming up next Tuesday. Maybe you've already voted. If you absentee-wise, you can request absentee ballot. Those are available. Those have to be turned in by, I think, next Monday. But if you want to vote, next Tuesday is just 8 days away, and then we'll finally find out the results of that 6-penny tax, but also the results of there's a lot of different battles going on. You're involved in one. For city council, we've got county commission, several candidates running for county commission for 3 seats. This is interesting, and that's going to be interesting to see who comes out of that, who gets picked with some of the councils. If we get some write-in names in Ward 2, because I think there's only one candidate running for 2 seats right now.
Right.
That's a little bit interesting. How does that impact you guys on the council when you only know that there's one person running for 2 seats available? What is the impact there?
Well, couple of things. So Ward 2 only has 1 seat available.
Okay.
Right now we have 1 candidate, but for a primary, you will have 2 people advance to go to the general. So it is possible to have a write-in candidate for that seat. For Ward 1, we have 3 people running for the 4-year seat, which is my seat right now, and then 4 people running for the 2-year seat, and then we have several people running up in Ward 3 for 2 seats that are available there. And then I think on the county commissioner's race, we've got I think 10 or 11 running for 2 available seats right now.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens with the results of that next Tuesday night.
Actually, I'm really excited by the number of people that are running in the local races. Sometimes Laramie has had an issue not having enough candidates on the ballot, and I love to see the willingness to step up. It's not always an easy thing to step up and put your name on a ballot for a public vote. So I'm really encouraged.
Another part, as we continue our Mondays with the Mayor Series, Mayor Andrea Summerville in studio with me, David Settle, Laramie Live on KOWB on this August 13th, is the fact that stores closing. We just had Kmart close. The Sears closing kind of came as a shock after they had just moved locations just a few months back. What is the conversation amongst the council, your conversations with those at the Alliance and Main Street about the concern of some of our main roads not having businesses there in kind of prominent locations that you drive by and go, great, there's an empty storefront.
Right. Well, that's never what we want to see. We never want to see an empty storefront, and it has been a big concern of council, and I think it's been going, we had Sherry's closed down, and I'm trying to think, Boot Barn closed down, and so this is a conversation you and I have had before in the last year, 18 months, and having Sears closed and Kmart closed just continues to intensify that conversation. So I think the council is always asking, from a city perspective, are we doing enough in terms of economic development for retail? That's why we now have a contract with a consultant to bring in and recruit retailers to Laramie. What can we do to better support the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance? Do they need more resources? Is there anything else we can do to help so that they can continue to bring more businesses to town, right? Fill up those storefronts. And so just really trying to check in on everything and making sure that we're doing everything we can.
Well, and some people will ask, and so I'll ask you the question, is it wise to spend money on that consultant to bring, to kind of, I guess, feel out of business? Is it wise? Because everybody always asks, why are we spending money on this? How much money did you spend on that type of situation? So I get from your perspective, you feel it's wise, but, will it be a benefit to Laramie in the future? Because a lot of people, I think, have concerns with the number of businesses that have closed here recently, and some of them kind of the heart. I mean, not only is it Kmart, at least you did have something move into the old Sherry's, and then Sears moved into the old Boot Barn, but now that's vacant. So you got those two. There's that building right past Black Hills Energy. Oh goodness gracious, what is that between? Not Garfield, so I guess it would be Kearney and Custer. I want to say there. That's been vacant now for close to a year or so. And then there's some other things, you know, you always hear about the south end of town being one of those issues. But, you know, is it wise to spend a good chunk of money to try and see what we can do with these folks?
I think to a certain extent we have to. So especially Kmart and Sears are prime examples of we're not really in control of what corporate America does, right? Those are corporate decisions that are out of the control of Laramie. Even if those stores have been doing well, if they're not doing well nationally, then we could lose those stores anyways. It's become increasingly competitive. So for cities, before when we were not out there, then our name, we're relying on people to just, you know, come up in their data pools and say, hey, Laramie looks great for relocating a store there, especially a corporate chain. And the environment has turned into where you have to be out there and be competitive and be marketing your city and saying this is a good thing. It's critical to us in so many ways that we fill those storefronts so that we keep businesses here, not only to provide employment and not only just retail jobs. We need to bring higher paying jobs to Laramie as well. And that's one of the things that LCPA really focuses on for the city of Laramie, is bringing those we call them primary jobs that can support other industries in town to town. But the retail is incredibly important to Laramie because that's what gets us our sales tax. That's literally what pays for the majority of the city services in town. And so for all of those reasons and many more, just having the look of a good, you know, a community that's healthy and economically vibrant.
It's going to be interesting. There's been some changes with the Alliance. I know they've got a new CEO coming in. They lost another longtime employee. That impact a little bit just in kind of the small interim time period before they can kind of get their feet wet and back up going?
Yeah, absolutely. Transition is always takes a little bit out of you, right? But what I'll say about LCBA is they have an amazing board. They have great leadership over there.
Absolutely.
And so I have no doubt that they'll pick up the ball and run with it and get everybody back on the ground as fast as possible. The other thing everybody should know is the city doesn't just stand by. We have staff members that work on economic development projects as well. You know, we're always involved in what's going on. So that ball is still being carried forward, and hopefully we'll get Mr. Enzi up and going quickly.
Yeah. By the way, welcome to Brad Enzi. I've known Brad since we were back in college, so welcome. I believe his first day on the job is today, actually.
I think it is. I think it is. Welcome, Mr. Enzi.
Yeah, welcome to the community. We're talking about you here on a Monday. It's Laramie Live on KOWB. Now, speaking of economic development, the city's doing something for the first time with a little start-up your own business type. Well, explain what's going on here and when it is and how people can get involved if they want to.
So Laramie is going to host its very first startup weekend. Some people that are involved in this business community might be familiar with this, but it's essentially a 3-day intensive series of workshops where you start on a Friday night, and by the end of Sunday, you start with an idea on Friday night, and by the end of Sunday, you have a viable startup business. What makes this unique is that you come as an entrepreneur or as an expert in a field, a tech expert or a financial expert or a business operations expert. And you come and you sign up for these startup weekends, and the first day you pitch ideas, and then they put together teams with all of these different, so you might come with an idea and you might say, no, I don't like that idea. I'm gonna go on this other guy's team. He has a much better idea than my idea. And you work on these teams for 3 days with the idea that you come up with a viable startup at the end of Sunday. Laramie's not hosted one of these before.
Wow.
It's a program that's put on by a company called Techstars. And so this is a partnership with the City of Laramie. Actually, we'll have on the meeting on tomorrow night the approval for council to approve the money for this. The County Commission has funded generously some money last week, I believe. And this is primarily a partnership between LCBA, the City of Laramie, and the University of Wyoming College of Business. And so we're going to be bringing all of the experts in to try to provide as much technical assistance as we can to young or older entrepreneurs. There's no age limit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know, we talk about, you know, trying to maybe some of the big box stores and chains in town, because I know that's on a lot of people's wish list, but, you know, a lot of people in the business community would say, I'd rather trade that for some hometown businesses instead of the chain stuff in terms of maybe or more viable economic feel around here and things like that. And I've heard that a couple different times from one local business owner in particular here. But Startup Weekend, when is this going to be?
So this is going to be September 21st to the 23rd.
Okay.
There's a Facebook page to go on to be able to get on to sign up, and it's just called Startup Weekend Laramie. And so if you go on Facebook and search that term, you'll come up. You can sign up. You can read all the other information. There is a nominal fee to sign up, and we hope to pack the house.
Yeah, I know you've been around here long enough that you and I both have seen some local startups kind of come and go, and some are more successful
Sure.
and have grown and blossomed in this community. Others have kind of fizzled out after, it can be difficult because sometimes I don't think people truly realize all that you have to really invest, not only time and resource wise, but to get your business to kind of steadily thrive, I guess.
Absolutely, and economic development is not a 100% science. It's something that you win some, you lose some. But the idea with these weekends, with this particular program, is really just to encourage people to get out there. So if you have a wonderful idea for a new app that you think is going to make tons of money, but you don't know how to code, then come to Startup Weekend, because you can walk in and pitch the idea. We'll find you some experts in the room that can help you do what you need to do. Same goes for any of those technical skills that go with starting a business. They provide a tremendous amount of resources. So if you have an idea, that's all you need.
All right, September 21st, 22nd, 23rd here in Laramie. Where is this going to be at the...
I believe it's going to be at the College of Business is where
Okay.
we're planning on holding
Okay,
it. So.
all right. Anything else before I let you go on this money? Any other big topics that you guys are talking about council-wise, people in the community need to be aware of here?
Well, I think that the Laramie Police Department Lip Sync Challenge video has become quite popular. It was released last Friday, and wow, it's just taken off.
By the way, no offense, but I was a little... we put up our own poll, and I was hoping they would do something a little more... the video production was awesome. I did watch it after getting back over the weekend, and I watched it. They did a fantastic job. Absolutely slammed Cheyenne. That wasn't even close. But I thought they would do something a little more, I guess, up-tempo, a little... but it was cool for what it was.
They did a really great job. Some of those officers that got called and said, "Hey, come on in, you're gonna dance." They were there. They were there. They showed up, and they put their all into it. And there was a lot of other department members from LPD that were involved, and community members.
I gotta
too.
find out how they chose the song they did.
That was
not one of our recommendations. Like we have control over or anything like that. I'm just messing with the LPD right now.
I would say that's a closely held secret. They didn't even share with the mayor. It was
cool.
Thing,
it was cool. I do believe ours is the best here in Wyoming so far, because the Campbell County Sheriff's Office that started it was okay. And then I thought Gillette PD's was the best by far until ours.
Until ours.
We're good.
We've officially taken the challenge out of state. We challenged the city of Fort Collins
See,
to step it
that
up.
was my next puzzling question. I'm like, why are we challenging Fort Collins? Is there nowhere else we can challenge in Wyoming? And then my wife is like, well, maybe other people have already challenged across Wyoming and we just haven't seen their video yet. But
I understand there are several more in production across the state.
This has been sweeping across the country here in the last year or so, and Wyoming's kind of been behind the times, so to speak. But what's funny is to watch some of the production value and some of the intricate planning and processes that have gone into this. Laramie did something vastly more complicated and intricate than anybody else has done in the state so far. But I will say, by comparison, there have been some other places that, oh my goodness, I'll just say that. I've seen several on Facebook, and one of my daughters will come across it, or my wife will come across it, and they'll be like, "Look at this," and I'll be like, "Plans? Who has this much time to plan?" Because the one big critical thing that we've seen, most people have been in support of this, and they've realized it's been a fun event. Is why are we wasting our time and money on taxpayer money on this stuff? And I'm like, it's off-duty stuff. Come on, people.
Absolutely. Those officers volunteered their time to go forward and put this together.
It was funny because when we saw the challenge got issued to Laramie, we had a PD person that had won a prize come in and pick it up, and we kind of, I don't want to say we startled him, but we kind of jumped on him, so to speak. And it was funny because he wasn't one of the officers in the video, and I just don't know why. I'm just kidding, officer. I'm just kidding. That gentleman knows who he is, I will not name names, but I'm giving them a hard time. You know, I thought it was well done.
I appreciate that. I think and I think we should all pass our thanks on to LPD and the staff and the community members that came out for the stuff in the stadium. It's a good video to present the good side of what the officers do and what they do every single day. And yeah, Chief
Stalder, you should have been in it though. I was looking for Chief Stalder.
Oh, they might have tried.
I bet they tried, and then it was like an HE double hockey sticks no type of situation. All right, with that, I will let you go. We will catch you back here coming up in early September. Thanks so much. Good luck in the election next Tuesday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.